Hidden deep within Utah's desert plateaus lies a cave so feared, so avoided, and so shrouded in mystery that even seasoned hikers and locals refuse to speak its name aloud. The Skinwalker Cave is not a tourist attraction, not a marked location on maps, and not a place anyone ends up near by accident. For generations, it has existed as a silent scar in the landscape, a dark wound, carved into red sandstone, older than recorded history, and woven tightly into the darkest stories of the Navajo Nation. According to Navajo lore, the area around the cave was once used by the now Luchis, skinwalkers, shapeshifters, who performed rituals that required absolute isolation. The cave, elders say, was a place where identity could be stripped away, where human voices were imitated, where faces were borrowed. They spoke of it as a passageway, a threshold between the physical world and something else, something that watches, something that waits. The earliest Western record of the cave comes from the late 1800s, during a government mapping effort. A team of surveyors camped near the entrance and recorded persistent whispers from inside, describing voices speaking in English, though the cave was visibly empty. Their notes described the unnerving sensation of being observed, along with the sound of footsteps approaching in total darkness. When they entered the cave to investigate, they found nothing: no animals, no tracks, no airflow, no echo patterns that could have produced the sound. The next morning, one of their mules was found dead, AIS wide open with no visible injuries. The team abandoned the project immediately and refused to return. As the decades passed, stories accumulated. Ranchers moving livestock through the region reported lights moving in patterns above the cave's deliberate, as if searching for something. Campsites near the area were found abandoned, with belongings left exactly where they lay, untouched by animals or weather. Some people disappeared without a trace. Others were found days later in a confused, semi-conscious state, unable to explain where they had been or what had happened to them. One of the most haunting encounters occurred in 1954. A group of 4 hunters set up camp roughly half a mile from the cave. That night, one of the men awoke to what sounded like his brother calling his name from just outside the tent, but his brother was 50 miles away. When the hunter stepped out, he saw a figure standing near the fire pit, same height, same posture, but with its head tilted at an unnatural angle. The figure turned and walked toward the dark ridge, vanishing without a sound. The hunters left at dawn and never returned to the site. If this investigation is pulling you into the mystery, remember to subscribe to Shadow Histories. Every week we uncover the darkest, strangest, and most well-documented encounters hidden in our world. Join us so you never miss a new episode. But the most chilling account remains the story of the 2 brothers from Moab in 1983. Experienced climbers, fascinated by the region's geology, they approached the cave determined to explore its chambers. They made it only 20 feet inside before the air temperature dropped so sharply that their lantern began to shake in their hands. A deep, rhythmic vibration filled the chamber, like breathing coming from the stone itself. Then came the sound of scraping, something dragging itself across the cave floor. They shouted, thinking it was an animal. Instead, the sound that answered was their own voices, repeated back at them from the darkness. Perfect copies, but distorted, as if squeezed through a throat that wasn't human. Only one brother was ever found. He emerged miles from the cave, wandering barefoot through the desert, sunburned, dehydrated, and with no memory of how he had escaped. He muttered only fragments. Hands in the dark, eyes too many, voices wearing masks. Search teams heard screams inside the cave that resembled the missing brother's voice, but every attempt to follow the echoes led nowhere. Teams described the sound shifting deeper and deeper into the cave before falling silent completely. In 2009, a retired police officer attempted to document the cave using a handheld camera. What little information exists about his attempt comes from his own written logs. He described feeling watched before he even reached the entrance. Inside, he captured what appeared to be a shadow deeper than the darkness around it moving against the back wall. His thermal camera picked up a shape roughly human-sized, yet producing no recognizable heat signature. He left the cave abruptly and abandoned the project days later, writing, "Something in there knows when you enter, and it does not hide from you." His footage, if it still exists, has never been released. Then came the sealed-off period. In 2014, local hikers reported the sudden arrival of what looked like federal contractors. They installed fencing, warning signs, and monitoring equipment around the cave. Visitors who approached were told the area was closed due to geological instability, a claim immediately doubted by geologists familiar with the region. The cave had been structurally stable for centuries. Something else was prompting the shutdown. Some locals believe it was an excavation. Others believe something was being contained. The strangest reports, however, come from the years after the closure. Hikers walking the ridge at sunset began seeing strange figures moving near the fenced entrance, figures that looked exactly like people they knew. A friend, a sibling, a partner, but the details were always wrong. Too tall, too thin, moving too smoothly, or standing completely still for minutes at a time. One woman reported seeing her deceased father standing at the cave entrance, his face expressionless, his eyes reflecting light like an animal's. Stranger still is the electromagnetic phenomenon documented by a geologist in 2019. His instruments picked up a pulsing M signature emanating directly from inside the sealed cave. The frequency was irregular, almost like a heartbeat. When he returned 2 weeks later, the signal had altered in as if responding to his previous reading. Electronics malfunction unpredictably near the cave. Phones shut off. GPS devices loop endlessly. Cameras refuse to focus. Or worse, capture brief shadows behind the subject, shadows that do not align with any light source. Some hikers report hearing breathing behind them, followed by the unmistakable sensation of someone standing inches away. When they turn, no one is there. Many Navajo elders continue to warn outsiders. The cave remembers every step that enters it. Some believe the cave is alive in ways humans cannot understand. Others believe it is a threshold, a place where shapeshifters enter and exit our world. But the most chilling theory is that something inside the cave is learning, mimicking, studying, adapting. And whatever it is getting better. If you've made it this far, tell me in the comments. Do you think the Skinwalker Cave is a supernatural portal, or a site where something non-human is hiding from the world? Your thoughts help guide our next investigation. And don't forget to subscribe to Shadow Histories for more dark, cinematic documentaries every week.